Yo, what's going on, everyone? The Cool Geek here, and welcome to CoolGeek Defense, a place where we geek out over martial arts and self-defense. And today we'll be discussing why you can't kick in a street fight. Let's get into it. As for clarifications and announcements, I want to be very clear when I say street fight, I mean any violent encounter in public, / any time you have to defend yourself from another person. I'll be going over why people don't kick in street fights, why some people do kick in street fights, whether or not it's a good idea for you to kick in a street fight, and whether or not I would kick in a street fight as a little bonus. Now, I don't like bullies, so unless you have mutual combat laws and you guys both agree to fight, the only reason you should be in a street fight is when you engage in self-defense. Also, a quick announcement, I have a blog on my new website, link will be in the description, so if you're interested to see the written version of this video, go check out that link in the description. Now that that's out of the way, on to the meat and potatoes of the video. Okay, quick announcement, guys. I started a new business. Check out my website, link in the description. It's CoolGeekDefence.com. That's CoolGeek Defense, defense with a C. CoolGeek Defense, DEFENCE.com. Again, CoolGeekDefense.com. I got everything you need, from security scanners to stun guns to pepper sprays, personal arms, mace, safety lights, those are awesome, knives, my favorite, Kubatons, if you're into that kind of thing, throwing stars, which are really cool, tactical pins, all-in-one cameras, dummy cameras, home alarms, and more. Check out the link in the description. Hope you enjoy the video. Why don't people kick in street fights? Is a very valid question. Let me explain. Most people don't kick in street fights because they think someone's gonna grab their leg and either trip, sweep, or throw them. Another thing is some people think, that karate stuff doesn't work on the streets. Can't even take those people seriously. And some people argue that when you throw a kick, you're off balance, and therefore you're at a disadvantage. Although less common, some smarter people will argue that you could slip and fall while throwing a kick, and someone can come up and stomp you out. And by the way, when people say that karate stuff doesn't work in a fight, those are the same people that think any style with kicks in it is karate. Yeah, Muay Thai is karate. All that Kung Fu, yeah, that's karate. Yeah, everything's just karate, apparently. Now, if all of that is true, then why do some people still kick in street fights when it puts them at a disadvantage? Well, here's the thing. On average, legs are twice as strong as arms. Meaning if you land a kick, a solid kick, it can do twice as much damage as a punch. Kicks also look really cool. So if you beat up someone with kicks, you'll get a lot of clout on the streets. Also, people fight like they train. So if you train someone to throw kicks, or you yourself trains to throw kicks, they will likely show up in a fight. So if you train kicking, you'll probably kick in a fight just off of instinct, at least if you train well enough. Now, all of that being said, the question isn't, do kicks work in a street fight? It's, should you, as an individual, kick in a street fight? Now, when it comes down to whether or not you, as an individual, should kick in a street fight, Well, it depends on a few things. 1. Do you know how to throw a kick? 2. Have you practiced kicking at least 1,000 plus reps, which means repetitions for those of you that don't know? 3. What type of area are you in? Are you in grass, gravel, sand, or anything else that can make you slip and fall? Maybe it's wet on the ground? Now, after you've answered all of those questions truthfully and honestly, you should be able to figure out whether or not you as an individual should kick in a street fight. I can't answer that question for you, but it should be pretty obvious. If you've answered all of those questions truthfully, it should be pretty self-evident whether or not you as an individual should be kicking in a street fight. On to the next section. Now, in case you are wondering or even care, yes, I have kicked in street fights before, and I would most likely kick in a street fight again. The reason is because my kicks are stronger than my punches. I have many different kicky trickies in my arsenal that I have trained tens of thousands of times, and some of them millions of times. And I wouldn't fight anyone on some slippery surface unless it's 1000% necessary. I'd try to bring them somewhere where I have more traction, or just diffuse the situation in the first place, which should always be our first line of defense on the streets. Also, if anyone tries to grab my leg, I have counters for that. Also, I train being on one leg, so being off balance is a complete non-factor. And a little side note, if you train kicking, you train throwing kicks at all, you should not be off balance when throwing them, right? Because if you're off balance when kicking after doing 1 to 6 months of throwing kicks, you're probably training them wrong. Because if you're off balance when throwing a kick, then why do people use them in ring fights either? Because the same logic would apply. If you're just off balance, someone's just gonna bulldoze you when throwing a kick and ground and pound you, right? That's 100% legal in MMA. And in Muay Thai, you get points for knocking people off balance. So if kicks are so dangerous to do for like trained people, right? This is under the axiom that you've trained, right? The pre-established notion that you've trained before. You know how to throw kicks. Why are you off balance when doing it? That's like saying, oh, well, you're off balance when throwing a punch, so you should never punch, or you leave an opening in your body when you throw a punch. You neglect your guard when punching. It's like, yeah, whenever you do any type of offense, you neglect defense somewhere. So that's a complete non-issue, otherwise you'd never throw anything. Because a beginner, when they punch, sometimes they'll do a straight punch and they'll knock themselves off balance. A lot of street fighters do that all the time when throwing hooks. They throw these wild haymakers and they're like slightly off balance. Should we never punch in street fights either? Just ball up and get beat up? No, thank you. Not for me. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment saying whether or not you have ever kicked in a street fight, how it went, whether or not you will kick in a street fight in the future, and let me know if I missed any points. I would love to hear it. Any points on why you should or shouldn't kick in a street fight? If you like to be cool and geek out over martial arts, subscribe, ring the bell icon, and share this video wherever you share cool stuff. The Cool Geek out. Bye.